Hello and welcome to another one of my videos looking at old railway lines in Shropshire and the surrounding area. On this journey I'm going to be looking at the line from Oswestry to Whitchurch. This of course was part of the Cambrian Railways empire, and it's actually the most easterly part of the Cambrian Railways. A very important part of the Cambrian Railways as it provided a link to the northwest, and in fact the Whitchurch to Ellesmere section was the first to open, and a year later the whole line opened. This then provided lines to the northwest of England and out to Wales, and in fact it was fairly soon, I think 1866, we had a line from all the way from Whitchurch out to Aberystwyth. Well, let's take a look at the route, and we start here in Oswestry and the line branched out straight away towards Whittington, and from Whittington we went up to Frankton. From Frankton the line branched into Ellesmere, then across above the lakes past Welshampton and into this little bit of a stretch in Wales. You can see we've got the border here, and this stretch here through Bettesfield goes up through this one part of Wales up to Fensbank, and then it crosses the border again back into Shropshire and up to Whitchurch, which is just off my map here. This second map just shows us the stations on the line. So we've got Oswestry here, and then we've got this little halt, Tinker's Green, and then Whittington High Level up to Frankton, to Ellesmere, to Welshampton, to Bettesfield in Wales, to Fensbank, and then finally into Whitchurch Station. Well, our starting point of our journey is down here in Oswestry, as I'm going to travel from west to east all the way up to Whitchurch. So this is Oswestry Station today. This is a nice wintry photograph from 1948. The train on the right would be heading towards Gabowen. This picture is from 1932, facing the other way in the Whitchurch direction. This picture doesn't actually have a date, although black and white. I still think this is the early 1960s. This is an interesting picture because this is getting more recent, 1978, and we've still got the line coming into the station, but only one line now. The scene today looks a lot different to this. This is the scene in 1995, and looking a bit desolate, to be honest. It just shows how much has been done since then. This picture shows the restoration of the building in 2006, but as you can see the platforms hadn't been done at this point. Well, this picture is much more up to date, from 2013, and we can see a lot of restoration has happened since the previous picture. We've got the track in place, we've got the platform, the signal, and there's work going on the other side of the station as well. This last picture is just seeing that same scene from the other side, looking westwards. Now if we go back to that picture from 1978, we can see there's been quite a lot of change and work done to the right hand side of the station from where we're looking. Actually, from this point I would actually be standing on the track, because this is the bay for the trains going up to Gabowen. But all this area here has changed considerably. Oswestry, of course, is the centre of the Cambrian Railway, and the Oswestry to Whitchurch line is the most eastern extremity of that franchise. Now, one of the interesting things for this journey is that the Oswestry to Whitchurch through Ellesmere line was actually the first part of the Cambrian Railway to open. It actually opened on May the 4th, 1863. Having said that, that first section was actually from Whitchurch to Ellesmere, and it was actually a year later before the whole line was opened fully between Whitchurch and Oswestry. This was because they weren't sure what further developments were going to be made in this area at the time. Well, if we look at the old map where my thumb is touching the Cambrian Railway works, and that's right in front of us now. And the line branched off and brushed right past those works. So the line comes out of the station here and would have gone right past the building underneath that bridge in front of me. Well, I'm just standing on that first section now. There's the railway works there, and the start of the line would have branched straight onto that bridge in front of me and straight ahead. got here marked clearly the line up to Whittington, which isn't on the present Ordnance Survey map at all. So we can see actually the branch right to Whittington is quite close out of the station, which we'll go and have a look at in a second. And just here there was Tinker's Green Holt. Now I don't know if there's anything left of it now, but we'll go and have a look and see if we can find out. There's nothing left of the station now, but in its heyday it was quite an important little halt because it was put there to serve the military camps in the First World War. So when it was built with a platform, a shelter and even a booking office. There was also located here a goods siding, but that predated the actual building of the station. This picture shows the site of Tinker's Green Holt in 2009. You can see the shelter on the platform in this picture here, which I think is between the wars. And if we look back again at this picture from 2009, this is the scene today. I can't get any closer than this other than trespassing over the fence. Well, those trees in the distance marks where the line came out of Oswestry, and the line and the platforms were along this stretch here. If we look eastwards, the track would have gone up there towards Ellesmere. So sadly, nothing here to show that there was ever a station here. Something which actually was a very important part of the MOD's war effort in both of the World Wars. Well, let's now push along from Tinker's Green Holt. I'm going to go now and see if we can discover Whittington High Level Station here, the other side of the Shrewsbury-Chester line. This old map shows the position of the station, and here we have the line going down to Oswestry, and this is the Chester line and going down to Shrewsbury. We'll have a look and see if there's anything left of the bridge, and then we'll go and have a look and see the site of the old station. In this picture we can see fire damage which comes from 1958. Now by this time the station was being little used, and in fact the station was never properly renovated and it closed in 1960. And in fact the station here closed 5 years before the line itself closed as part of the beaching cuts. The low-level station on the Chester to Shrewsbury line survived about 9 months longer. So within a space of 9 months Whittington lost both of its stations. Now this is the best picture I've got of Whittington High Level Station, which is from the 1960s, so fairly close to the closure of the line. One of the interesting facts about this station was that it originally had one platform, and then a passing loop was added and a second platform was added, but to accommodate this they actually moved it a little bit further away from the crossing of the Chester-Shrewsbury line. This section of the line opened in 1864, about a year after the Ellesmere to Whitchurch section opened, but by 1866 there was a through corridor from Whitchurch all the way to Aberystwyth. This is what I'm expecting to see. This is the site of the old station in 2015. But what is still there is the station house, and we'll see if we can find that as well. Well, here at Whittington we crossed the Chester to Shrewsbury line. You look there right in the middle, in the distance, you can see the brickwork for part of the bridge for the Oswestry line coming over into Whittington Station. Well, here we have the sign for Station Road and Cambrian Avenue, so I think we're in the right area. And if we look again at that picture from 2015 of Whittington High Level Station, and there it is today. And you can see the embankment up there by the trees, and the line to Ellesmere came from that direction. And here's a picture of that station house again from 2015. And this is Station House today. And here just to the west of Station House we can see the remains of the railway bridge that crossed over the Chester to Shrewsbury line. Nothing on the east side, but we've still got the brickwork on the west side. Well, I'm going to move up now from Whittington up to here, just south of Hinford, where I'm expecting to find some sort of bridge, possibly some embankment as well. And this is the bridge crossing at Hinford. Might just see if I can get up there on the track bed. This is a great bit of evidence of the railway here because we've got quite a raised embankment. You can clearly see there in the distance the track coming up from Oswestry. We cross the bridge and look east, and we're now looking towards Frankton. A lot of the line around here now has been lost to fields, so it's good to still see that this embankment is still standing and clearly marks the path of the railway. Well, if we come back to the map, I'm now going to move from the line here just south of Hinsford. I'm going to go up the track northeast to a point there which is just to the west of Frankton Station, and then gone to Frankton Station, which is in the middle of that V there. Well, we're just approaching Frankton Station, and we've still got this bridge here, and we can see the course of the railway down in the ditch. Looking down here on the west side. Well, if we come across to the other side of the bridge and look on the east side, we've got a much clearer view of the track bed, and Frankton Station is about a quarter of a mile through those trees. Well, I have a number of pictures of Frankton Station which are worth looking at just before we see what it's like today. This is a picture of the station in 1905. Well, this is a picture looking west in the early 1960s, just before closure. We're going to have a look at the view from the top of that road bridge in a moment. This is a picture from 1978. Well, I have to say, I think the stations look better at times in its life. Well, this is the most recent photograph I've got, and this is the station in 1993, looking northeast. And this is Frankton Station today. Still a nice residence. We can still see where the platform was, and of course where the track was. Now, this station had some surprising facilities. It had a rest room for those who were ill, it had first class waiting rooms, and it also was decorated with 3 Cambrian Railways crests which were carved pieces set into the brickwork just below the roof. Now, this grandness may have been because one of the directors of the company lived nearby. Maybe that's why this got a bit of extra special treatment. And this is the view looking westwards, and on this side was a siding on the south side of the track over there somewhere to the left, and that was for loading livestock. On the 1st of January 1948, Frankton became part of the nationalised British Railways Western region. Unfortunately, by 1956 it became an unstaffed station. Frankton lost its goods service on the 6th of July 1964, and on the 18th of January 1965 the station closed, and the section of the line between Oswestry and Ellesmere was taken out of use. By 1967 the track had been lifted at Frankton Station, and this was sold to private ownership. If we go back to the map, I've got my finger here on Frankton Station on an old map showing the railway line, and you can see it follows the stream Newnes Brook all the way into Ellesmere. However, if we look at the present Ordnance Survey map, we can see the station here, but the path down the stream into Ellesmere is virtually gone, and there's really nothing to find there. So I'm now going to have to pick up the line again at Ellesmere Station. Well, let's have a look at a few pictures of Ellesmere Station before we get there. This is the station in 1913. With its characteristic 2 platforms and its footbridge. Here's another scene looking east in 1962, very close to the closure of the line. This picture was also taken in 1962 of a train approaching from Oswestry. Well, this is the station entrance today. I'm afraid it's been developed into a housing area, and the future of the station building's looking a bit bleak. Here we can see the west side of the station, and there's the road bridge on the way out to Oswestry. And here is the platform side of the station. The old roof's still on. I'm now standing on the Oswestry line going westwards. Well, there we have a good view of the station front. Not really meant to be here, but a piece of history here on the old Oswestry to Whitchurch line. Now the first section of the line officially opened between Whitchurch and Ellesmere on the 4th of May 1863. A special train to mark the completion of this section around a few weeks earlier on the 20th of April 1863. The onward section to Oswestry was held over for a year in case of new GWR route developments. Well, the station had two platforms here, obviously the main building on the east side for the westbound trains. There was also a large goods yard here with lots of sidings serving them. There was also a large crane here to help with the loading, and there was a signal box located between the station building and the bridge in the distance. In fact, if we go back to the book, here is a picture of those goods yards in 1952. The services here continued to the mid-60s, but this station closed on the 18th of January 1965. Unfortunately, the goods services didn't last much longer either, with that running down in March 1965. Well, at its peak we had 7 to 8 trains running each way daily. That's a far cry from what it looks like now. And for this to be turned into a housing area is very sad indeed. Well, I've come over to that road bridge that we just saw and I'm now looking at the station looking east.